Happy Monday to everybody, or whenever you're watching this. I'd like to, if I could, in this brief reflection, just briefly discuss a feast that we actually celebrated on Friday, at the risk of sort of going backwards here a little bit. And it's a feast that some of us have a great devotion to, but probably a lot of the church doesn't recognize. It's not a holy day of obligation, but it's a feast that for me has become increasingly, or it's a solemnity that's become increasingly important to me, but wasn't always that significant to me in the past. And it's the feast, or the solemnity, of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ. And just within the last couple of years, I've come to appreciate this solemnity more. And we've all seen the images, and maybe this is one of the reasons I had trouble embracing this. We've all seen the image of this, or a lot of us have seen the image of the Feast of the Sacred Heart, where it's the heart, it's Jesus's physical, biological heart, wrapped in a crown of thorns, and you've seen the images where his sort of chest is seemingly almost torn open, revealing this wounded heart. And it's for me, it was always something tough to sort of come to terms with. I would even say that for a long time it even appeared a little bit grotesque to me, until I've come to appreciate it more. And this is why I've come to appreciate this feast more, and why I think it's the solemnity, or feast, whatever you want to say, is so important to us in the church. And it's because it shows how far Jesus, and I talk about this all the time, but I hope it's worth repeating, how far Jesus has entered into our humanity. Depending on where you are in the sort of Christological spectrum, and I think most Catholics are like me, we were raised with this, with a purely divine understanding of Jesus Christ, and in that, and I know this is how I was raised and how I was taught, in that his humanity got lost in translation. And I think that that's sort of a sad thing for us, because I still don't think we embrace how deeply Jesus has entered into our humanity, and therefore so many of us miss this opportunity for this personal relationship with Jesus Christ. But now when we embrace and we look at that Sacred Heart, even if it's a bit of a disturbing image for us, and we see the wounds of the heart of Jesus, we begin to embrace more and more that he has done exactly that. He has broken into our humanity in such a way that all our woundedness, all our frailty, all our sufferings, all our sadness, all that he has entered into, that there isn't anything we can experience that Jesus Christ does not experience with us, and I would argue continues to carry the wounds of the human condition. And furthermore, the image of the heart in the biblical sense actually isn't biological, even though the art images, and I'm nothing against those images, depict this biological heart. The heart in the biblical sense is much deeper than that. It's the core, the center, the very soul of who we are. It's the truest part of our humanity. And to me, that's what the feast, or the solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, means to us. This continued and perpetual and infinite longing of Jesus Christ to continue to enter into our humanity, as I've said before, enter into the chaos of our very lives, which I think is so important in this broken world that we live in. And I'll end with this. On the celebration of that feast this year, we heard from Matthew 11:25 through 30, and the last few verses go like this: "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light, and you will find rest for yourselves." What an amazing and compassionate image of Jesus Christ. The yoke, as we all know, as we've said before, I should say, was always carried by two oxen. Jesus is saying, there is nothing in your life that I'm not willing to carry with you. There's nowhere in your own humanity that you can go that I won't accompany you along the way. You can't escape me. And so now, years and years after knowing this feast, I've come to terms with this myself a little bit, and have appreciated this image of the Sacred Heart, the wounded heart of Jesus Christ, and it's intermingling with our own wounded heart as Jesus continues to enter into the depths and chaos of our humanity. And to me, as I've said so often, that is a God that I can love, that is a God I can worship, and that is a God that I can trust. So even though we're past the feast, take some time maybe this week and ponder the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ, the heart purely divine in every sense of that word, but also so human that he's broken into our world in a way that is seemingly impossible to imagine. And then in all your chaos, all your own strugglings, and all your pain, and all the pain of the world, right there in the midst of it is this Sacred Heart that longs for our healing and accompanies us, all along the way. The Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ tells me this, and I hope it tells you the same thing, that the love of God is quite literally unescapable. May God's love be with you always, and I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless.